What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining me on D's Analysis. We're going to be looking at MSTR today, going over some indicators, and we're going to talk about Bitcoin as well. So, as we know, we've been respecting our long-term trend line, nice and established. We got our bounce off of our horizontal level support, and as we spoke about, we've been having some resistance here at this golden zone. We talked about this a while ago, and it looks like this level is as important as we thought it was. As you can see, we've been struggling to break through it. Now, it doesn't mean that we won't break through it this week. I hope we do. But as you can see, we got rejected a couple times. Then we gapped up yesterday, we gapped up last week, pushed up, and then got rejected to start this week. So we'll see how it plays out. I do see us breaking above it eventually and closing, hopefully throughout this week. That would be nice to see. Things are looking as bullish as ever. I don't think anything's changed really. It looks like price tried coming back down to close this gap here. I don't know if it's actually going to get closed. But we have a minor gap here from 396 to about 400. Let's see if we close it now or if it's going to get closed later in the bear market. We'll find out. But here on the weekly, we're looking extremely good. We are on the 6th week actually of this current leg up. There's only been really green weeks so far. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is week 6, and let's see if we get another green week or if we get a red one. Even here, when you take a look after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, week 6 was red, but it was still bullish in nature because it initially started up high. The open was way up here, pushed all the way down, and then price was able to be pushed all the way back up here. And although it's a red candle, it's still bullish, and as you can see, price continued up higher. So if we get something like that, I would imagine the candle would actually be green though, and the body of the candle would be much larger, and the body would start here and hopefully be closing above 450. That would be ideal. We need some more volume behind price. Volume's kind of been flat and dead, so price hasn't been able to really move significantly. It's kind of just been sideways for the past couple of days. And even on our way up, the days haven't been very significant in moves. As you can see, like this is one of the largest days we've had. And this was it pushed up 5% and ended up closing, 4.3%. Here, same thing. These are one of the largest days that we've seen. And it was a 4.5% day. So you can see the last day that we had a really aggressive candle was April 9th. That was the last time we had a very aggressive, 22% day, something crazy. Which I do think we will see eventually, but you can see along the way here, we did have more of those aggressive days. Like you look at this candle, that's 13%. You look at this one, this is a 9% day, and so on. So we are we're climbing slowly, but we're getting all these small little itty bitty candles for now. Hopefully we start seeing the large candles, like we said, above 450 and 550 ideally, because once we get our large pump, we want to already be well established into the 500. So when we do get that pump, we're only 100% away from $1,000, and then we can start thinking about trimming for this current leg, and then potentially reaccumulating for that final leg, because the idea is potentially to run up here. We don't know what's going to happen, but if we ran up here relatively soon, maybe June, July, and then we retrace August, September. These are just hypothetical time frames. Do not take this as gospel, please. So June, July was a run up here. August, September for the pullback, and then October, November, December for the final leg. That would be a right translated cycle. depending on economic data. And speaking of economic data, today we had the inflation report, came back cooler than expected, which is amazing. That should allow Bitcoin to rally a little bit. I think the consensus was 2.4, it came back 2.3. So it shows that inflation is dropping faster than we expected it to. So that's very bullish. And now on the flip side, because the Fed has a dual mandate for stable prices, which is the inflation aspect, and then low unemployment. Right now, I think bad news would actually be good if the unemployment rate goes up just slightly. We don't want it to go like too parabolic. We don't want it to go parabolic. We want it to go up just a little bit higher than expected by maybe, like 0.1. That would put some pressure on the Fed to cut rates because they don't want the unemployment rate to get out of control, and they don't want deflation either. They want inflation to come down, but they don't want deflation. So it's trying to have that happy medium. So I do think if unemployment goes up just a tick, it could actually be good for Bitcoin in this aspect. And you want cooling inflation and the unemployment just to go up a tad bit right now. I think that would actually be a perfect, recipe for Bitcoin to rally, of course, meaning that MSTR rallies. So we'll see how things play out. I think overall everything's looking very good. Here on the daily, the 20 is catching up to price. It's eventually, maybe we get a bounce off of it, or maybe we just run up from here, but we are getting much closer. There was a larger gap when you take a look here from 373 to, 330. Now it's sitting here at almost 370, and price is around 410. It did get down to 400 to 370, so that gap is a nice. It's a tighter gap between the SMA and price. We take a look at the 4-hour. We didn't quite get a bounce off of it, but we came pretty close. And let's see if we get a move up from here. We came close to the 20, and on the 1-hour, we almost touched the 50. But we still have the 20 above our head acting as resistance. So let's see if we can pop above that and get a nice move to the upside. On the daily RSI, it looks like we are getting our bounce off the yellow moving average, which you spoke about. So that is very bullish. It's nice to see that we didn't break through, retest, and went down further. It looks like we're just getting that bounce off of it to continue up higher, eventually to that 70 region, which is what we want to see. And on the weekly, we're still looking very bullish. And on the 4-hour, we're still in this indecision phase. Let's see if this turns out to be a double bottom, creating this first part of the W, and now getting that second push up higher back above the 70 region. And here on the hourly, let's see if we can break above this yellow moving average. It looks like we're about to any moment now. So this is looking very bullish on all time frames right now. And of course, the MACD, like we spoke about, it is looking good. We are seeing the increase in the volume here on the MACD. I would like to see more, but I am patient enough to just wait for the next week to see if we get a little bit more. But it is starting to look identical to this move here. So it looks like we're starting to get a repeat of this. So hopefully, as much volume as we had to the downside, hopefully we get that same amount of volume to the upside, and we see a nice move like this, or an inverse of this, because this was a large amount of volume in the bearish direction. So hopefully we see a large amount of volume to the upside. And this is on the weekly, so this move could be drawn out for an extended period. As you can see, this thing lasted for, all the way up to here from September 30th to November. So you have, September, October, November. So let's see if we get the same thing here. Let's see if we get like a, April, May, June, the end of June kind of thing here. Maybe the volume runs all the way out to here, and we just see that steep increase. So maybe we run into June, July for the next leg up. I do anticipate it to front run Bitcoin to move a little bit. It doesn't have to play out like that, but I can definitely see it playing out. Keep that in the back of your mind. Here on Bitcoin, we're looking amazing. I'm going to take off some of these lower time frame zones. We pretty much just have this zone here. We have our mid part of the zone here. Another support and resistance that we have here. So we'll drag that out a little bit further, and then we have the top of our range here. But prices, remember, the more you hit a level, the more likely you are to break out of it. So we did get a super bullish close the other day, and now the past 2 days, Sunday and Monday, the closes haven't been the best. We broke above this level, which was super bullish, and then we got rejected. But remember, the more we keep tapping this level, the more likely we are to break it. So if we can get another push up here and keep testing this like 104.8 level, eventually touching this 105 level, eventually we're going to break through it. But we do run the risk of trading sideways and falling back within this range. So we do have the possibility that we could fall either here and continue to chop, or we can fall underneath, retest, and go down to the bottom of the range, and then we're just playing this game of just bouncing. So we could see something like that. So be aware of that. This range does fall all the way down to 91.7, all the way up to 105, 106. So be ready for something like that. When you look here on the daily, if we do fall underneath 100,700, we could get a pretty steep drop to 96.9, 97,000 roughly. But we also do have this level of support above that. So anywhere from the 99,000 region to about 97,000, I would say, is where we could get a bounce if we were to fall underneath this level, like this wick right here, because of the clean traffic to the left. Not much stopping it, so price can fall relatively quick. Just as quick as we went up, we can fall down. But I do think this is extremely bullish, though. When you take a look here at the Fibonacci, this is a very bullish move off the 382. That's one of the most bullish indicators or sequences of the Fibonacci. Pulling up, pulling just a little bit back to get the bulls a little break to continue to move up higher. I do see us pushing towards all-time highs relatively soon, but we'll find out, of course, with time. But I think things are looking very good right now. And global liquidity, this is a 82-day offset. Looks like it's playing out pretty well. Don't take these numbers as exact, as they maybe could land here. It doesn't mean that they will. It looks like we do have 2 or 3 large legs up still. I do think that inflation report definitely helped, and things should be playing out pretty well. It looks like global liquidity is kind of cooling off a little bit, but let's see if we end up making another leg higher. Hopefully we will. I think that'll also be depending on the dollar, which we can take a look at now. The dollar is going to allow global liquidity to spike up higher. We did talk about the dollar yesterday, and we were talking about this level. This is a key level of support and resistance, and it looks like we may be respecting it. As you can see, we fell underneath, got our close, and we pushed all the way up to almost 102, and we're already rejecting down to 101.138. So as this falls, this will allow global liquidity to continue rising and allow Bitcoin to pump. And then we want to break below the 97.9 and continue on down to this 95 region. That would be extremely bullish for global liquidity, which would be extremely bullish for Bitcoin, because that would extend the move and allow Bitcoin to rally for longer. When you look here on MSTR divided by Bitcoin, you can see Microstrategy's kind of been, it's not doing as well the past couple of days, but it's not a big deal. It's part of the, the move. As you can see, we are outperforming, and then this past day or two, we've kind of just been underperforming. We were sitting, close to the 4.2, and now we're down to 3.9. So let's see if we get a little bit of a rejection. I mean, we are coming back to this trend line or this zone of trend. That's why we have two lines drawn out. So let's see if we get a nice little wick off of this, and then we can start building from this body up and hopefully get a close above 42. That would be ideal. At or above 42 would be ideal, so we can start pushing up higher. We want to see a large move like this to the upside. This move has been, more chill right now. It hasn't been as aggressive as this last one. So we want to see something like this. But like I said previously, if we're like slowly just grinding up higher, then we get some candles like this, it can really take us higher, which would, of course, be super bullish for MicroStrategy. And we're still on target with our same goal for the Fibonacci here, pulling from here to the bottom, and our 2618, 2272 called this move here almost to the T, but then we had our blow off top, which is okay. We don't have to be exact. And then we pull it down for this leg here of this flagpole, from this top to this bottom, this entire flagpole. And then we're looking at this 2272 to the 2618. That's how I have this shaded box, and this aligns with this top of the channel, or this top of this trading channel. So you have, two things pointing in this direction. You have the tops here lining up for a top here, and you have the Fibonacci calling for the same zone, and then you also have your bull flag calling for the same thing. So it's just multiple things. You can measure this one out. If you've been around this channel, you know. You can see here, boom, and then this one would call this target here. So you have three things just landing right in the same position around the June to July timeframe. So it is interesting to see. We'll see. I mean, if we're supposed to be getting a move, by the end of June or July, that means this thing's going to be ramping up relatively soon. When you measure out this move, you see something like this, which also lines up. It looks like it would also line up with that June timeframe, mid to late June, early July timeframe. This is calling for mid-June, but that's if we follow the exact same timeframe as this move here. So we could see something like that. We'll play by ear. I'll keep you guys updated. Make sure you like and subscribe if you guys enjoy content like this. Share with a friend. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about all of this stuff, and let me know what you guys what your plan is and how you're gonna, whether you plan to continue to accumulate or you want to trim your shares, wait for the next leg, or you're just gonna wait for the next cycle. So you guys let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in the next one.